Hi, it's Jessica with Windhaven Farms. We've had an interesting week here and I haven't done any filming because that snow that you saw in our last video, well, it stuck around till Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday were both very windy, and so there really hasn't been a chance to get out into the garden until today. But today's beautiful. The high's in the 60s, the snow is melted, and we're gonna get some planting done. Now, I wanted to let you know that one of the nights that we had snow, I think it was Sunday night or Monday night, I can't remember, I woke up and it was 8 degrees. That was a lot colder than they were predicting and not so good for my plants that were out here. And so I'm going to genuinely show you how my plants that were outside during that 8-degree temperature have fared, as well as you can come along with the work that I'm doing today. So I built this cold frame last year and I'm still learning how best to use it. I've tried to plant things in here, and honestly I have not kept up with watering very well of the plants that I have started in here, but so far this year it is just simply working as my hardening off tool, I guess. And so these plants were not out here during that 8-degree weather. I actually just put these out here yesterday to attempt to harden them off, and they look like they're suffering just a little bit, but I think the warmth will bring them out of it today. Now my onions, I know, are cold hardy. I didn't really know how cold hardy they are, and so these are my spring onions, and they were out here through the whole snowstorm, through 8-degree weather, with the lid closed, so I don't know how much warmth that provides, but they're still hanging in there. They really need to get in the ground. You can tell they're suffering a little bit, and so today we are going to get all of our onions in the ground. But they did survive in this cold frame in the 8-degree temperatures, so I thought that was pretty impressive. Now I have my compost thermometer in here to check the soil temperature, and looks like right now it's a little bit over 40, and it has definitely been close to 40 through the whole time. So there's got to be some heat coming from the soil even when it is so cold out there. Okay, I also put my peas, you can see them under there. I put my peas out here. Peas are not something you normally start in trays. It's just an experiment this year. I don't think I'll ever do it again. But the problem is things like to eat pea seeds when you plant them, and they also like to eat the pea seeds when they first come up. So I was just going to see if we could get a head start on some of them, but most of them I'll just be starting from seed in the ground, probably double or triple seeding, just to hedge my bets as far as getting them to come up. My irises are coming up. My one lone tulip I have is coming up. My daffodils are growing steady. No sign of blooms yet. My yarrow is coming up. My hyacinth is coming up. My strawberries in my raised bed here at home are coming up. This is my spinach that made it through the winter and has now made it through that 8-degree night. Doesn't look phased at all. Other way, girls. Come on, chickie. So all my spring onions fit in this bed. I did cram 2 in the middle there just because I didn't want to put them in their own bed when they were the only 2 left. So these I will harvest as they grow this spring, and they will not bulb. We'll harvest them and use them mostly for their tops, so we can eat the little tiny white bulb on them as well. Transplanting these peas is going way better than I expected. And if they survive, they certainly have a head start, so I'll be curious to see how this works. I have this little weeding tool that I'm using, and I just stick it in and make a hole, and it makes it pretty deep since the peas have that long taproot on them. And then I come over here where I've taken my peas out of their little pot, and they tug apart pretty easily. There's one, and it's got quite the root system on it already. And so then I've been using gloves, but I just tuck it down in there. Oops, tuck it down in there, tuck all the roots down in there, and then just put a little bit of dirt over the top of it. And these tiny little holes in my weed barrier that I made last year, because I had peas in this same spot last year. So it's working really well. We'll see how they survive. So this tray I had started in a little pot, and then I up-potted it into this tray, and this transplanting is going even better. I just make a little hole with my little weeder tool, and then they just fit right down in so snug and perfect. Yeah, it's going really well. Okay, I figure you guys might be just as curious as I am about these plants that we planted over here in our big no-dig garden. And with our 8-degree nights, I am pretty impressed with how well they have done. So this end is our spinach. Definitely no growth, maybe a little yellowing of some of the leaves, but they're alive, and that's really important. The lettuce definitely got squished under the snow with that row cover on them, but it still looks alive. I bet it's going to come out of it just fine. Then we have some of our Swiss chard, and it took a beating. A lot of the leaves are broken on them, but once again they're alive. I think they will come out of it. Lastly, we have our kale, and I don't see very much of this variety here. I see 2 that looks like it might make it, but the green varieties look very well actually, and because they were kind of down in those little divots, they don't even look smashed. Now some, oh, I remember I only planted every other, so that's why there's empty holes. So my daughter dug them, but we didn't plant them, so I actually don't think we lost any at all. So that's really exciting. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put the hoops over them. We have these can you see that, these bending metal rods, and we're going to make hoops just like next door on the strawberries, and then we're gonna put the cover back over them. We still have many nights that are supposed to get down below 20, and so we still got to protect them, but I'd like to keep the row cover off of them so they have the opportunity to grow. Okay, so we have planted our onions. This whole row is onions and they are covered. And I thought you might want to see the garlic while we're here. It looks great, a lot of fun to grow. And then our shallots and some more onions are in this row, nice and covered. And unfortunately, we have found 3 ticks since we've been over here. 2 on my son, not attached but crawling on him, and 1 just on the irrigation system in the garden. So we did not have a problem with ticks over here last year. I guess that means it's supporting life now after it's been in the ground, been here for a year. So that's something we're gonna have to deal with this spring. But I think we're done for now. We're gonna go home, take showers, check for ticks, and have supper. Thanks for watching. Hopefully next week we'll get a lot more things going here in the garden and things are gonna start growing.